You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's continue with newspaper headline stories before our next guest joins us on the program this morning. Now it's concerning ASUU and its suspension of its warning strike, a 2-week warning strike, despite unmet demands by the federal government. ASUU, on the other hand, is given the FG a 1-month ultimatum to ensure that they meet the agreements of the 2009 pact between the federal government and ASUU. This is on the front page of the New Telegraph newspaper. We'll take a look at that in a moment, and other accompanying strap lines and feature stories on the front page. Greeting your screen is the New Telegraph right now. Why we suspended warning strike despite unmet demands. A revelation made by ASUU. Says Education Minister failed in addressing its issues. Gives federal government 1 month to conclude 2009 pact renegotiation, address other issues. Now, above the headline story, you'd find reps probe non-repatriation of $850 billion crude oil export proceeds. Also, $460 million CCTV contract in Abuja. They cry killings in the FCT. Federal government goes tough on foreigners acquiring passports, vows prosecution. Issuance process to ensure absolute vetting, security checks. Yakubu engineered massive reform of Nigerian elections, says IPAC. And UK courts post steady work period for foreign students. Report says American pilot kidnapped in Niger. Above the masthead, you'd find federal government seeks $10 billion single-digit interest funding to tackle humanitarian crisis. And Dangote to sell 10% stake in refinery targets 1.4 million barrels per day. Other feature stories on the front page of the New Telegraph, away from those header stories. Tinubu's economic reforms can't achieve transformational impact, says Agbakoba. Assesses President Atiku Obi for 2027. Protests Nnamdi Kanu may change legal team as IPOB leader enters the fence. And on the rider on issues of Electoral Act, Senate seeks to place burden of proof on INEC, says polls organizer supervisor should prove credibility. 2027, politicians' mandate belongs to their party, not themselves. And planned ISWAP attacks. Tension in Ondo, Kogi over DSS alert as Ayedatiwa Ododo urge calm. A recent study has revealed how skipping breakfast raises hypertension and high blood sugar risk. And picture of prominence here is that of Senator representing Bauchi North Senatorial District, Senator Kayla Samuela Dahua, and Senator representing Cross River North Senatorial District, Senator Jarigbe Agbon Jarigbe. President Bola Tinubu, alongside Senate President Godswill Akpabio during their meeting with President at the Presidential Villa in Abuja yesterday. Well, let's see if we can join our next guest here virtually, Comrade Segun Ayoola, who is a regular on the program and also a public affairs analyst. A very good morning to you, Comrade. Thank you so much for availing yourself for this discussion today.
Thank you.
Well, I can't quite hear you clearly, but if you can hear me, let's kick off with a recent protest that had held in Abuja, protesting over the release of Nnamdi Kanu. This was led by human rights activist Sowore alongside the lead counsel for Nnamdi Kanu and other individuals who are interested in the case. Now, this was a failed protest, and Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention and is still facing trial. However, Sowore has come out to state that there is an alleged plot by the federal government to ensure that Nnamdi Kanu is not released alive. What is your disposition on this matter?
Yeah, my
disposition is quite clear. Protest is to hold government accountable. Every protest everywhere in the world is so because the people who protest want to hold government accountable and also to ensure social stability, politically, economically, and so on. This case of Nnamdi Kanu has been in the public domain for a decade plus, and is you know.
Well, Comrade Segun Ayoola, I can't quite hear you, but before we resolve the issue of this audio, I'll just take some newspaper headlines before that is resolved. Let's quickly move on to the Daily Independent newspaper with concerns about Nigeria's food security. In a moment, we'll be back to Segun Ayoola, but first, the Daily Independent greets your screen with the headline story: Credit drought threatens Nigeria's food security goals. Credit drought threatens Nigeria's food security goals. Above the headline story, reps probe $850 billion unremitted crude oil export proceeds. Investigate status of $460 million Abuja CCTV project. Terror alert, security agencies will thwart attacks. Ondo assures residents. Now, these are the header stories on the front page of the Daily Independent. Let's move on to other feature stories on the front page here. Federal government to invest $220 million in job creation for Nigerian youths. Federal government to invest $220 million in job creation for Nigerian youths. Assures workers of timely October pay amid IPPIS upgrade. Why we cut short 2-week strike by ASUU. Tinubu okays 2-year tenure extension for Surveyor General. $450 million steel coy to begin operations in Ogun by 2026. And Nigerian breweries records 1.04 trillion naira revenue in 9 months. Elumelu underscores role of private sector as engine of transformation. Now, this is a splash story in red at the bottom of the Daily Independent. On the rider, Senate plans shifting burden of election petition proof to INEC. Nigeria's elections improved since PDP left, says Senate President Godswill Akpabio. You'd find picture of prominence capturing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu alongside Dr. Peter Mbah, governor of Enugu State, during the governor's visit to the presidential villa in Abuja on Wednesday. Well, let's see if we have that connection with Comrade Segun Ayoola sorted out. Comrade, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, very loud, very clear. I can hear you, sir.
Well, it's still a little bit low, but you were making your points on the recent protest led by Omoyele Sowore and, of course, the deep-seated allegations of a possible release of a possibility of the federal government not wanting to release Nnamdi Kanu alive.
Yes, what I was saying before was protest is a responsibility of the citizenry. Anytime there is a protest, the reason behind is always the fact that the citizenry want to hold the government to account for their dealings with them. You know, it's a social contract between the elected and the electorate. And of course, if the electorate feels that the elected are not doing well, they call for, for accountability. That is what protest all over the world is known for. On this case for Kanu Nnamdi, I support the protest. Of course, it has come and gone. It has been registered. whatever that comes out of it, Nigerians are waiting. We expect that the government will listen, and then they will fast track whatever needed to be done leading to his release, and of course alive. That is what all Nigerians are expecting the government to actually come out with. And I hope the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do justice to that. He's a listener, and I'm sure he's going to listen to the appeal, to whatever it is that could lead to the release of Kanu, because his detention has caused a lot of problem than solving it. So I think the government will listen at this time. The protests have been registered, and I'm sure something will be done.
Now, comrade, while on one hand, a lot of political observers are of the opinion that the trial of Nnamdi Kanu is taking rather too long and has transitioned from the late President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration to President Bola Tinubu's administration, and there appears to be no headway in this. There appears to be no end to this prosecution. While others are calling for his release, people are also saying that he is the reason for the insecurity in the southeast as it stands right now. The insecurity and the killings in the southeast, even though Nnamdi Kanu has boastfully mentioned a lot of times that if he is released, the insecurity in the southeast will end in 2 minutes. How do you balance this all up while ensuring that an endless trial is put to an end eventually? We also don't release a man who is the cause of the wars in the southeast and will perhaps further aggravate the already tense situation in that region.
Yes, the actions that leads to insecurity in the southeast is not without the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu, and his arrest is not unlinked with the fact that he was the one that actually started the insecurity in the southeast. Why was he arrested? That was a question. He was arrested because he was against the politics of the day, the leadership, anything political. He was kicking against it. Southeast governors met him, and they came out to say their discussion was ended in deadlock. And then all the people that went to see him, tried to negotiate with him. It was altogether unacceptable. He refused that there should be no election. I don't know, going back to history, you will understand what Kanu Nnamdi was for at that time. He was not speaking for the people, neither was he speaking. He was speaking for himself and secession move. But it was not, something that government can fold its hand and just watch and allow it to play. And the whole thing was going into, bringing a full-blown insecurity. How was he arrested? He was arrested because of all of those insecurities that he caused already on ground at that time. But as we speak, he and all the followers seems to have learned their lessons. The sit at home was because of his arrest, was an aftermath of his arrest. The killings ongoing in Southeast that continued was not without his arrest. And now, I'm of the opinion that the government should release him and watch him go about his activities while still on the watch. So you can release somebody and still give him conditions, bail conditions. And of course, if he fails to abide by the rules, he should be rearrested. Where was he arrested? He wasn't arrested in this country. So wherever he is, Interpol can always fish him out. So the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should do something quickly to release this man, so that peace we have been agitating for in the southeast. Many people have died to this effect, and it should be stopped henceforth. Let this man be released. Let him be given conditions. If he fails to meet up, let him be rearrested.
Now, during the protest, some of the individuals that were arrested include his brother as well as his lawyer, whom are both in detention at the Kuje prison as it stands right now, also awaiting the possibility of a prosecution, by the federal government. A lot of people have asked this question. Why did the lawyer join the protest knowing fully well that the case is in court? He should have known better, being a legal practitioner.
Well, it has to do with his disposition as a lawyer. He knows the law. So many times cases are in court. People will still go to the court and still go out to protest. You can burn your candles at both ends if you want to get, result on time. So maybe that was his intention, to ensure that justice is done quickly from the Justice Department, or that's the law, the judiciary, and from the public domain, public opinion. So I think what the lawyer did is not wrong. We have seen that happen in the US, we have seen that happen in other African countries where cases are in court, people will feel agitated. Even the judiciary will also make reference to protests, civil unrest. Protests can lead to civil unrest. So their arrest is baseless, because individuals, civil organizations, and groups have the right to protest. So if the government don't want people to protest, let them do the right thing all the time. If you don't want people to complain, then do the needful. It's as simple as that. If everything is in order, nobody will complain. You went and arrest people who are protesting. Who does that? Where is it done? Any part of the world? They should be allowed. Even while the securities are watching, these people, they are not armed. They were not causing any mayhem.
Comrade Segun Ayoola, if you recall, the broadcast of Radio Biafra before the arrest and detention of Nnamdi Kanu, of course, have been the major cause of the killings in the Southeast. And I will repeat this over and over again. There have been recordings, audio recordings of broadcast on Radio Biafra where Nnamdi Kanu specifically called for the killing of individuals who flouted or violated the Monday sit-at-home order by him. He spoke in English and he spoke in Igbo, stating that if they think they are stubborn and they go about to open up their shops or open up their offices, that they will be slaughtered like animals. These recordings are all over the place. Do you still think that a man like that, who is deemed extremely dangerous, should be freed to walk the streets of Nigeria like every other citizen, or should he be treated like what he is, a terrorist?
Well, I have not listened to that recording, but my opinion is, when this recording was replayed, what did Nnamdi Kanu himself say about it? Number two,
well, he hasn't certainly stated anything.
So if he hasn't stated anything, how do we know that the recordings are linked to him? That's number one. Number two is the fact that...
Comrade Segun, let us not feign ignorance. I wouldn't want us to feign ignorance. I personally have tuned into Radio Biafra before in the past, and I can assure you that the things I have heard on Radio Biafra are exactly the things that Nnamdi Kanu stated in those recordings. There were no recordings of conversations. These were broadcasts that were made on air, and he was specific. You flout the sit-at-home, Monday sit-at-home order, you get slaughtered like an animal. It's not even an allegation. We are not even insinuating. These are facts. Radio Biafra has been existing, and these statements and comments have been made by Nnamdi Kanu on air live.
Well, I join all the well-meaning Nigerians to condemn that, that broadcast, and of course that speech by Nnamdi Kanu. But the question is, like, where I was heading to is, when was that speech made? And the same speech, the same person, what is he saying now? Is he still saying the same thing? Has he repented? We have seen we have seen repentant Boko Harams walking in the street today. Some of them are even on payroll of state governors. What has happened? So what I am saying is, for anyone who at one point or the other contributed to insecurity of a place should be given opportunity if the person has repented. And I don't think he's saying the same thing today as we see in the court. Look at the kind of people he's mentioning. Does it look like he has the precision of what he's talking about? I'm not saying that he's having psychiatric problem, but I am saying that whatever thing he is saying, if you check most of his statements in the court, you will see that there is no connection.
He has recently opened up his defense, and he's now, he has listed quite a number of ministers, governors, and security chiefs, including the minister of the FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike. He had listed the Minister of Works and former governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer Dave Umahi, as well as former Chief of Army Staff, Yusuf Tukur Buratai, as witnesses in his defense. Why do you think that Nnamdi Kanu is now clinging to people whom are patriotic Nigerians, being that as the leader of IPOB, he has deemed himself time and time again not Nigerian and has called for the secession of the southeast from the state of Nigeria?
Do you know that a call for a secession is a crime against the state? A call for secession by individual, group, or association is a crime against the state. That was what he started. That was where he started from. And no state will fold its hand with all of these statements of secession and all of that. Now, he didn't stop there. He gave an order that anybody who disobeys the rule of sit at home should be slaughtered. Now, these are statements, and they are yielding results. Many people have lost their loved ones because of this law, this rule that he gave in the southeast. Now, what we are saying is that this man has been held for more than 10 years. What should be done? At least there must be something to be done. A clear look at his condition would show that he should be allowed to go and treat himself, and because most of the time he made comment even in the court that any day he is released, all the killings, whatever, all the people that were mentioned that are behind the killings in Southeast, he said he will call them to order and the killings will stop.
Can't he call them to order while still in detention? I believe that the world will hear him loud and clear. His followers will hear him loud and clear. And these individuals, these non-state actors that are responsible for the killings in the southeast, if he is really their leader that they adhere to, will stop the killings if in 2 minutes, as he stated, if he should call for an end to the killings.
Well, he belongs to this group. Their actions are connected to his detention. So what more can we say? Nigeria as a state is bigger than any individual or group of persons, except they don't want to do the needful. I am of the opinion, like I said over and over, let this man be released. For the benefit of doubt, let him be set free. He will still be under watch of the security. They will determine his movement, but let him be released while he is still under watch list. And of course, they will give him the rule. If he disobeys, he will be rearrested. Number two, my opinion, where are those people? Are they spirits These people who are involved in killing, are they spirits? Don't they have locations where they are carrying out their activities?
Well, one
Does
of
it
them
mean the
was
security cannot
arrested
fish them out?
recently, General
So it's
Yahoo, I
neither
believe.
here nor there. Government should be decisive. Government should be deliberate about securing the life of the people. You cannot allow these people to die like that just because of a statement of Nnamdi Kanu, and his followers are carrying out what he has asked them to do, and then you are folding your hands without taking any actions against them. It doesn't make any sense. For my own opinion, the government should be decisive. It should be proactive. They should do something about the insecurity in the southeast. They shouldn't wait until their plans are carried out before they begin to take actions. I mean, the government of the southeast should be proactive. The federal government should extend federal presence, security presence in the southeast, ensuring that every life matters, even in the southeast and everywhere in Nigeria.
All right, Comrade Segun Ayoola, let's move on to yet another matter. Quite interesting dispositions you have there concerning Nnamdi Kanu and the entire situation surrounding his detention, and of course the protest led by Sowore recently demanding for his release. Another matter of national concern this morning is in the education sector, with ASUU suspending its 2-week warning strike against the federal government, despite its demands not being met by the FG. However, on another part, the union has issued a 1-month ultimatum to the federal government to meet the demands of the 2009 pact between ASUU and the federal government. Every time we talk about this, it appears to be an endless circle of industrial action, an endless circle of strikes by ASUU every now and then. It's either a warning strike or a full-blown strike in itself. What do you make of this entire situation?
Yeah, I pray that we don't get to the level where we'll have a full-blown strike. I remember every government, right from Obasanjo in the days of Adams Oshomole, NLC, and Yaradua, Jonathan, Buhari, and then now we have Tinubu. Well, I think the only government that is lucky that we have not seen strike of institutions going observing strikes and all that is this government of the day. I think if you check very well, why are we talking about our institutions, educations going on strike almost every year? Students who are supposed to run the program of 4 years ended up running this program for 7 years. I was a victim at the time. My program was supposed to be 4 or 5 years. I ran it for 7 years, and it's not funny. And that was because of strike under Obasanjo and so on. What am I saying? What is the agitation of the university workers, the lecturers and the non-academic staff? What has been their agitation? What are they asking? Is it their salary, their allowances, and so on? Nigeria, doing a comparative analysis, if you compare Nigeria with other African countries, economically and politically, are we viable? If we are viable, and you do a comparative analysis of how educations in other African countries are taken care of, from, for example, the salaries of the workers, the allowances, and all that has to go with the benefits of being a worker in the education sector. And you begin to ask, compare Nigeria with South Africa, for example. What is the lecturer taking home as salary per month? And the non-academic staff, what are they taking home per month? When you do a comparison, and you find that we are below. We are the giant of Africa, for God's sake. It shouldn't be about just saying it for saying sake. It should be, it should be matched with actions. How much are these lecturers taking home at the end of the month? Lecturing should be attractive. Payment should be attractive. People should want to go and teach in the education sector. They should be, they should prepare to go and teach. They should be happy to go and teach. Now the question is, how much are these people taking home compared to other African countries? You will see that the gap is too wide. So I am calling on the government of the day. You can do something. Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can do more. You can equip these lecturers, you can encourage them. You can make them better persons. You can make them proud of this job. Your government should change the narrative that, teachers' rewards are in heaven. The government of this day should ensure that they change the narrative. Is it so in other African countries? Is lecturers in the universities or education sectors going on strike in other African countries? When you check the statistics of our education performance, Nigerian doctors, Nigerian lawyers, you can mention them, they are the best. But yet, the lecturers, the teachers are not taken care of. I call on the president to please, Mr. President, you can change the narrative. Increase the salaries, allowances of university lecturers and non-academic staff of these higher institutions. Let them have joy doing their work. It is not a crime to be a lecturer. It should be a thing of joy. They should be proud. They should have something to fall back at, even after they have left this lecturing work.
Now, Comrade Ayoola, ASUU in itself
to get to a fully blown strike. Thank you very much.
Well, Comrade, ASUU in itself had appealed to patriotic Nigerians and stakeholders in the education sector to prevail on the government to speedily conclude the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement and other outstanding issues. The union explained that it held meetings with the federal government team led by Yayale Ahmed on October 16th and 18th to review the government's response to the draft renegotiated 2009 FGN ASUU agreement, adding that a follow-up meeting had been scheduled for further deliberations. Now, of course, this follow-up meeting is the reason why ASUU had suspended the 2-week warning strike. But in essence, what is this 2009 agreement between FG and ASUU, and why have successive governments not been able to address the issue and give ASUU what it wants? If you take a look at it holistically, 2009 up until now is about 16 years. And the demands that this union has made for close to 2 decades have not been met. Even if these demands are being met, just imagine the impact it will have as it stands right now as opposed to the way it would have impacted lives back in 2009. What do you make of this entire fracas?
That is the point. That is the point. You had agreement with somebody in 2009. 16 years after, you have not carried out your own side of the agreement, which is an affront. Is a betrayal, total betrayal on the part of the Nigerian government. And I think the president of the day should revisit the agreement. What has been agreed in 2009, my brother, you will agree with me, cannot buy anything in the market anymore. But they are still saying, go back to that agreement. They have been nice. They have been good. They didn't say they are changing the agreement. They are saying the agreement in 2009 should be carried out. If I were the president
One of the things that the
day,
Minister of Education, talking about Dr. Tunji Alausa, had stated when this whole 2009 agreement between FG and ASUU came up, is that there was never really a 2009 pact between the FGN and ASUU. Rather, it was a proposal made by ASUU to the federal government. How true is this?
yeah, that is where I'm going. That's the next point I want to make. If there was no agreement, if it is an ordinary a submission, a plea, a pact by the ASUU that the government did not assent with signature or done any approval to that agreement, it is still not an agreement. But the thing is, can the government revisit that pact, that plea, that bargain? Can the government visit and look at it, dust it, and say, what is ASUU asking for? Is it too much? What can we do to stop this, recurrent strike by the ASUU almost every year? It's not giving us a good name. And that is what the government should do. Rather than pushing it here, it is not an agreement, it is a pact, it's a request, it has not been approved, and all of that. Who want to know all of that? What Nigerians want to know, if you have your children or your child in the universities in Nigeria, you will agree that whatever it is that needed to be done should be done. And I'm very sure ASUU is not asking for too much. Let me tell you, none of these university lecturers have their children schooling abroad because they can't even afford to do that. But here we have politicians who would even take their children out of the country.
Comrade Ayoola, when it comes to the issue of either schooling abroad or schooling in Nigeria, I don't even think in the first instance that a university lecturer or a professor should send their children out of the country to school, whereas they are institutions where they are also part of the system. And if these institutions are good, the institutions are being run by them, then their children should automatically, naturally, school in this system. Isn't that correct?
I agree with. Yes, it's correct. I agree with you. What I am saying, I'm trying to compare what the university lecturers are taking compared to what our politicians are taking. That is where I am going. Now, you begin to see the same institutions where these lecturers have their children schooling are going through this, almost forever strike since 1999. I've been hearing about ASUU strike. It becomes synonymous with Nigerian education case. What I am saying again is the government of the day have a role to play. You cannot say that they are asking for too much. I don't think ASUU is asking for too much. Let them check their requests, their demands. Even if they cannot meet up with all their requests, I know very well that ASUU, they are human beings. They are members of this association are human beings. They are learned. They are lecturers, academic and non-academic staff, all of them put together. They are interested in the education of their children also. They are interested in the development and the growth of our education system. And they are not saying that the pact should be done or carried out 100%. But can you try 50% of the requests? If you can do more, can you do 70%? Since 1999, we have not seen where ASUU, as an association, have come out to thank the government of the day for carrying out or for playing.
Comrade, let's talk about the students this time around.
The development of our country.
There is a dynamic aspect of this discourse that we are neglecting. The students. We have talked about the part of the federal government and the failure of successive governments to meet the 2009 agreement, if there is any. We've talked about ASUU consistently going on industrial action, going on strikes, to relay their message home to the federal government. But we are forgetting the students and the impact that these strikes often have on the mindset of students concerning the education sector and the entire system in the country. How much of an effect does this have on Nigerian students?
Very negative, if you may ask me. Very negative effect. If you send your child to the university, every child that is admitted has a letter of admission. And in that letter is indicated how many years you are going to spend in the university. Some of these letters are not, they are actually not valid. Not valid because you will spend more than the years that was written there. You are likely to spend, if you are to spend 4 years, you will spend close to 5, 6, 7 years. I just mentioned about my own case. The fact is, this student is supposed to spend 4 years. And in another 1 year, he will go for service. In another year, he may want to go for master's. So every child, every student have plans. Now, the strike has affected every child who is in Nigerian university. Now, people are finding their way to Ghana. People are finding their way to Cameroon. People are finding their way to our neighboring country after Lagos here.
But I don't think those universities there are any better
admission
than the education system we have here.
Say again?
I don't think those universities in Ghana, in Cameroon, in Benin Republic are any better than the, high quality of education obtainable in Nigerian high institutions.
That is the problem. They are not better. But because of the time factor, you are supposed to spend 4 years. For example, if you are doing a social science course, you spend 4 years in the university. You are doing law, arts, and all of that. You may spend close to 5 to 6 years in the university. Is that so in other African countries like Republic of, Benin Republic? Is it so? I learned some people spend six months and they are certified to have finished their degree program. And I have also heard about so many other countries that their program is just 2 years. I mean, Nigerian government should do something to strengthen our education system, to encourage our youth, to also ensure that our education system is not left for it's not left in the hands of those who do not know what to do, who are confused. Either as a minister, you should know what to do. Either as PAMSEC, you should know what to do. A rector should know what, lecturers down to non-academic staff. At every point in time, they should know what to do. There should be something that brings them to book. There should be program that should run concurrently without any strike affecting them. There are universities in this country that don't observe strike. I don't know if you are aware. University of Ilorin, for example, is one of those universities that don't observe strike. Your child is in Nnamdi Kanu University in Suka. Your second child is in another university in Ilorin, and they gain admission the same year. The one in Ilorin has finished serving, and the one in Nnamdi University in Suka is still in 300 level. That's an insult. It discourages the Nigerian youth from gaining admission within the country. So it has a lot of negative tendencies, and government should be proactive about doing something about it. It should be deliberate about doing, and that should be done and on time. Let them arrest the situation and ensure that we have a better education system. And I know it is possible. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is capable of changing the narrative so that every child knows how many years he's going to spend in the university. Every child knows that after this time, I'll be going for my master's, and it should be so.
All right, Comrade Segun Ayoola, we have about 10 minutes to wrap up this discussion on Morning Express. Let's move on to yet another matter of concern. This time around, it's not insecurity, or not education, but rather food security. There have been concerns of farmers' inability to access loans and facility from traditional banks due to the high level of interest rate. And this has been attributed to the rate of food insecurity that we have in the country. How do we balance this up while ensuring that the banks are in for business? They also don't, strangle these farmers who are just seeking for small loans to be able to go to their farms, to be able to afford seedlings, to be able to run their businesses properly.
Yeah, thank you. It's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. And my take is simple. Those who have taken the loans for agriculture, what have they done with it? I have some records, but it's not necessary here, of people under the government of Buhari who were able to get credit facilities, loan from banks. What did they do with the money? They added new wives, they got new apartments, they bought new cars, and then their lifestyle changed, living in one hotel to another.
Are these allegations confirmed? Because you mentioned that you have some facts, but they are not
yes,
there.
I have
Could you
records.
at least tell us where you got these facts from? Where did you get this information about these individuals buying cars, buying houses, getting married to more wives, and doing other things with the monies that have been given to them other than putting it in agriculture?
Exactly. The Bank of Industry would tell you that. NISA is a microfinance bank under Central Bank of Nigeria. They will tell you that. I was a victim simply because let me be very, very vehement here, because I wasn't happy. I was maltreated. Simply because my name, I don't have a Muslim name within my names. One of my colleagues who applied and got told me, he said, that is my crime. If not, I would have brought...
Comrade Segun Ayoola, when you make some of these statements, it's important to be mindful because when you make allegations like this, there has to be substantive facts and evidences to back your statements. You said that you were maltreated. I had asked by who. You did not answer that. And then you went ahead to say that you were given a separate treatment because you didn't have a Muslim name in your name.
Yes. Yes.
I beg to differ, but I don't think Nasal was established on the basis of giving out microfinance loans to individuals who are of a certain religion in the country.
I have my facts. Let the CBN...
We would have loved for you to present these facts with evidences.
I'm doing that right away. Away. Let the CBN ask the management of NISA, Microfinance Bank. Let them come out with their documents of those that have received loans. You will see names of over 95% of Muslim. I have my facts. This is confirmed, and I can tell you, if the management of CBN invite the management of NISA,
Comrade Segun Ayoola, I would have preferred that as you are speaking, there is some sort of document with you to back this up. So I would rather we not toe this part. Rather, when you are ready with your facts and evidences in document form, you might want to tender it to us, and then we'll also assess it, and then we can have the discussion in depthly. But other than that, it wouldn't be proper to just lay mere allegations on the CBN or lay mere allegations on Nasal or even the federal government concerning this matter. We are talking about, smallholder farmers being able to access loans from traditional banks to be able to help their farming businesses. That is where the focus is, not on whether or not there is a preferential treatment to Christians or to Muslims when giving out these loans.
It's all right. Thank you very much. So let's go straight to
Thank you.
our focus. Now,
All right.
the question is, most people that got this loan, they use it otherwise. Today, NISA, for example, is unable to, to receive repayment of the loan that we're giving out. As we speak, at the close exit of the former government, the former president from the Nigerian government, that is about 4 years ago, they stopped giving out the loans because they are unable to receive back the repayment of these loans that were given to the people. Some of the people that received the loans, like I told you, lifestyle changed and all of that, they couldn't pay back. Now they have stopped. Now, there are also serious-minded Nigerians who wish they could receive this loan. They are coming out to ask for the loan, but they have businesses they should do. You will go, they will tell you, they will direct you to go and get a training on a particular trade you are applying for this loan. After you have done all of that, you will still be unable to access the loan. Serious-minded people who have a trade, who have business, agriculturally, they are not encouraged. Now the question is, another question is, the interest rate by commercial banks when they give you loan is so high that individuals, associations who went ahead to collect these loans will not be able to pay. They won't be able to pay back. Even to recoup the capital is a problem. And the interest will also be on the increase. So the problem is not only on the banks, the problem is not only on the individuals, the problem is also on the government that refuse to checkmate how these loans are given and how these loans should be recovered and at what percentage are you giving this loan. So I can assure you, by this time next year, there will be full scarcity. There will be full scarcity. Why? The reason is because the farmers who are serious, so many of them who pay back cannot also access because the doors have been shut. So how do you access, how do you go back to agriculture after you have repaid your loan and then the doors have been shut because there are some people who refuse to pay? You shut the door against everybody. So how do you access the loan in the first instance? So that will affect our food production come year 2028.
All right, Comrade Segun Ayoola, quite a very interesting take there, and it's a fine place to leave the discuss and close up the discussion on Morning Express. We must thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you on the program, and we'll be looking out for those facts of yours. We would love to have those documents and have you back on the program to substantially defend these claims and allegations that you have leveled against the CBN, NASAL, and indeed the federal government.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Comrade. Well, that has been Comrade Segun Ayoola speaking to us on matters of national interest in Morning Express. This is as much as we can take on the program this morning. At the top of the hour, it will be time for ADBN Sports.